भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Text 1 Shrisukavacha Evam puradharanayatma yonir nashtam smritam pratyavrutyatushtat तथा ससचेतम् अमुकदृष्टि यथा पयायत् प्रगव्यास्य बुद्धि.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, formerly, prior to the manifestation of cosmos, Lord Brahma, by meditating on the Virat Rupa, regained his lost consciousness by appeasing the Lord. Thus, he was able to rebuild the creation as it was before.
Text 2 Taptasya hi brahmana isha pantha yanama vidyayati dhira parthai paribramanta trana vindati rittan mayama sanaye sadayana.
The way of presentation of the Vedic sounds is so bewildering that it directs the intelligence of the people to meaningless things like the heavenly kingdoms. The conditioned souls hover in dreams of such heavenly, illusory pleasures, but actually they do not relish any tangible happiness in such places.
Text 3 Atha kavirnamasuyavadartha sayada pramato vyavasya buddhi siddhena yatharthena yate tatatra parishramam tatra samik samana.
For this reason, the enlightened person should endeavour only for the minimum necessities of life, while in the world of names, he should intelligently fixed and never endeavour for unwanted things, being competent to perceive practically that all such endeavours are merely hard labour for nothing.
Text 4 Satyam shito kim kashipo prayase bahu swasiddhe hayuparhanaya kim tate anjalo kim puratana patraya digval kalado sati kim dukulaye.
When there are ample earthly flats to lie on, what is the necessity of cots and beds? When one can use his own arms, what is the necessity of a pillow?
Text 5 Chirani kim pathi na santi dishanti bhiksham nevam kripa paravrata saritopaya shushyan ruddha guha kim ajito vatinopashanan kashmad bhajanti kavayo dana durmadandan. Translation.
Apologies. Are there no clothes lying on the common road? Do the trees, which exist for maintaining others, no longer give alms in charity? Do the rivers being dried up no longer supply water to the thirsty? Are the caves of the mountains now closed? Or above all, does the Almighty Lord not protect the fully surrendered souls? Why then does the learned sages to flatter those who are intoxicated by hard-earned wealth?
Text 5 Evam svachitta एवं स्वचित्त स्वत एव सिद्धा आत्मा प्रियोरथो भगवानन्तः तं निर्वृतो न यततो भजते संसारहेतु परमश्च यत्र.
Thus, being fixed, one must render service unto the super soul situated in one's own heart by his omnipotency, because he is the almighty personality of Godhead, eternal and unlimited. He is the ultimate goal of life, and worshipping him can end the cause of the conditional state of existence.
Text 7. Kastam tva anandritya parano chintam rita pasun ashatim nama kuryat pasyan janam patitatam vaitaranyam swakarma janparitapanchu sanam.
Who else but the gross materialistics will neglect such transcendental thought and take to the non-permanent names, only seeing the names of people, the mass of people fall in the river of suffering as the consequence of accruing the result of their own work?
Text 8. Kachit swadehantararideyavakshye Pradase matram purusham vasantam Chaturbhujam kancha rathanga sankha Gadadaram dharanaya smaranti.
Others conceive of the personality of Godhead residing within the body, in the region of the heart, and measuring only 8 inches, with 4 hands carrying a lotus, a wheel of a chariot, a conch shell, and a club, respectively.
Text 9. Prashanavaktam nalinaya dakshanam Kadamba kinchal kapishangavasasam Lasan maharatna hiranmaya gadam Spuran maharatna kirata kundalam.
His mouth expresses like happiness. His eyes spread like petals of a lotus, and his garments, yellowish like saffron of kadamba flower, are bedecked with valuable jewels. His ornaments are all made of gold, set with jewels, and he wears glowing headdress and earrings.
Text 10. Unidrarit pankajakanikalaye Yogeshwarasthapitabadapallavam Shilakshanam Kaustubaratnakundaram Amalalakshmya Vanamalyachitam.
His lotus feet are placed over the walls of lotus-like hearts of great mystics. On his chest is Kaustuba jewel engraved with a beautiful calf, and there are other jewels on his shoulders. His complete torso is garlanded with fresh flowers.
Text 11. Vibhushitam mehelayankuliya Mahadanenu Purakankana Abhi Snigdhamalakunchitanila Virochamanana Hasaveshalam.
He is well decorated with an ornamental wreath about his waist and rings studded with valuable jewels on his fingers. His leglets, his bangles, his oiled hair curling with a blush tint, and his beautiful smiling face are all very pleasing.
Text 12. Adina Leela Hasitakshaloshalasat Rubanga Samsujitapuri Anugraham Ekshetra Yavan Manodaranayvastishtahate.
The Lord's magnanimous pastimes and the glowing glancing of his smiling face are all indications of his extended benedictions. One must, therefore, concentrate on his transcendental form of the Lord as long as the mind can be fixed on him by meditation.
Text 13. Ekekashorne ganidhiyanubhavayat padadiyavat gata brataha Chitam chitam stanam apo yadaraye param param suryatiti yatha yatha.
The price of meditation should begin from the lotus feet of the Lord and progress to his smiling face. The meditation should be concentrated upon the lotus feet, then the calves, then the thighs, and in this way higher and higher. The more the mind becomes fixed upon the different parts of the limbs, one after another, the more the intelligence becomes purified.
Text 14. Yavanna jayate paravarismin Vishveshware drashtari bhakti yogaha Tavatstaviya purushasya rupam Kriyavasane parayatta smrate.
Unless the gross materialistic develops a sense of loving service unto the Supreme Lord, the seer of both the transcendental and material worlds, he should remember or meditate upon the universal form of the Lord at the end of his prescribed duties.
Text 15. Sthiram sukham cha sanamashthito yatir yada jihasurimamangalokamam kale cha desi cha mano na sajyate pranam nayachan manasajitasuha.
O King, whenever the yogi decides to leave this planet of human beings, he should not be perplexed about the proper time or place, but should comfortably sit without being disturbed, and regulating the life air should control the senses by the mind.
Text 16. Manasva buddhya malayena yamya Kshetragna etam dayattam atmani Atmanam avruttya tiro Labdo pachanti virameta krityat.
Thereafter, the yogi should merge his mind by his unalloyed intelligence into the living entity, and then merge the living entity into the superself. And by doing this, the fully satisfied living entity becomes situated in the supreme state of satisfaction, so that he ceases from other activities.
Text 17. Nayatra kalo nimisham para prabhu kuto nu deva jagatam ya ishre Nayatra sattvam narajastamascha nave vikaro namaha pradhanam.
In that transcendental stage of loved hospitality, there is no supremacy of devastating time which controls even the celestial demigods who are empowered to rule over mundane creatures, and what to speak of the demigods themselves, nor is the mode of material goodness. Nor passion, nor ignorance, nor even the false ego, nor the material casual ocean, nor the material nature.
Text 18. Param padam Vaishnavam amanati tat yaneti neti yatad uddishya swaha Vishya duratmyam ananya suratyaye Radopaguya padam pade pade.
The transcendentalists desire to avoid everything godless, for they know that supreme situation in which everything is related with the Supreme Lord Vishnu. There, a pure devotee who is in absolute harmony with the Lord does not create perplexities, but worships the lotus feet of the Lord at every moment, taking them to his big heart.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Harsha Mataji and Kumatini Mataji. So beautiful recitations from the Srimad Bhagavatam. The heart, the soul in the heart. Sorry, the Lord in the heart. Very beautiful thing. Thank you so much. And thank you all the devotees for joining this evening. We shall quickly move into the Srimad Bhagavatam. I shall share my screen. Okay. Okay, so before we enter into Srimad Bhagavatam, so we shall start with Mangalacharan prayers. अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांशं श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांशम्। हे कृष्ण करुण सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमो ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिविकास स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। शृणुतां स्वकथाः कृष्णः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृद्यन्तस्तो ह्यभद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सताम् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी एते चांशकलाः पुंसः कृष्णस्तु भगवान् स्वयम् इन्द्रारिव्याकुलं लोकं रुडयन्ति युगे युगे इदं भागवतं नाम पुराणं ब्रह्मसंहितम् उत्तमश्लोकचरितं चकार भगवान् ऋषिः निःश्रेयसाय लोकधन्यं स्वस्ते नमः कृष्णे स्वदामोपगते धर्मज्ञानादिभिः सह खलु न सदृशामेष पुराणार्को अधुनोदितः कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्ग्रये अति विश्वेश विश्वात्मन् विश्वमूर्ते स्वकेशु मे स्नेहपाशमिं चिन्तिदृढं पाण्डुषु विष्णुषु त्वयि मे नन्यविश्यामतिर्मदपते सकृत् रतिमुद्वह तदद्दा गङ्गेव भूतन्वती श्रीकृष्ण कृष्ण सख विष्णुवृषभावनिधृक् राजन्यवंशदहनानापवर्गवीर्य गोविन्द गोद्विजसुराट्यहरावतार योगेश्वर किल गुरो भगवन्नमस्ते योगेश्वर किल गुरो भगवन्नमस्ते योगेश्वर किल गुरो भगवन्नमस्ते त्वलयामलवेनापि न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवं भगवत्सङ्गीसङ्गस्य मच्चेनां किमुताशशः पुनश्च भूयाद् भगवत्यनन्ते रतिः प्रसङ्गाश तदाश्रयेषु महस्त्वयां यामुप्यां सृष्टिं मैत्रेषु सर्वत्र नमो द्विजेभ्यः ॐ नमो भगवते राधा गोविन्दाय नमः हरे कृष्ण Okay, thank you so much. So we have been discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, and verses so far 1 to 7 are completed. So we'll be continuing from the verse 8. So here, Sukadeva Goswami has been indicating that the Lord in the heart. And before he mentioning about the Lord, and first of all, he is rejecting all the material things, which are the temporary things. When the nature is giving the sufficient necessities, so we can utilize the nature as much minimum as possible. And then he has mentioned, and one has to work only towards the permanent asset, that is meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is evam swasitte swatayeva siddhaha atma priyardho bhagavan anantaha tam nirvuto netardho bhajeta samsara hetu uparamasha yatra. So one has to concentrate and make one the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his the ultimate destination. That is Sukadeva Goswami says. And then further, some people, instead of doing that, so they surrender to the material energy in different ways. Kastam tanadritya paranu chintam brute pasunam asatim nam kuryat. They're just like a animalistic life. So they are just going to the pasyanjanam paritam vaitaranyam swakarmajan paritapan dushanam. So their life is only leading towards the hellish condition of life. So later on, Sukadeva Goswami is saying about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is in everyone's heart as the Super Soul, who is the four-handed, the beautiful form of the Lord. So here we are starting with the verse number 8, chapter Canto 2, chapter 2, and verse number 8. केचिस्वदेहान्तहृदयावकाशे प्रादेशमात्रं पुरुषं वसन्तं चतुर्भुजं कञ्जरताङ्गशङ्क गदाधरं धारणया स्मरन्ति. केचिस्वदेहान्तहृदय अवकाशे. So केचित् swadeha in their own heart, in their own body, deha antar hrudaye avakashe, within their body, swadehantaha, within their body, hridaya avakashe, in the region of the heart. So the soul and the Supreme Soul, both are exist at the heart of the body, in our heart. So swadehanta hridaya avakashe. Pradesha Matram Purusham Vasantam, and Pradesha Matram, and measuring only 8 inches. It is the Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Ananta, Bhagavan Anantu. But here, the translation Pradesha Matram, it is a partial realization, or the measuring only 8 inches. Another meaning for the Pradesha is the just partial. So here, the translation is measuring also 8 inches. And Purusham, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasantam, and he is residing in the heart. Pradesha Matram, Purusham Vasantam. How he is residing? Chaturbhujam Kanjaratanga Shanka Gadadharam Dharanaya Smaranti, with 4 hands. Chaturbhujam with 4 hands, and Kanja Rata Anga Shanka. Kanja is the lotus flower, and Ratanga, the wheel of a chariot, or Sudarsana Chakra. Ratanga, Shanka, the conch shell, Gadadharam, and with a club in the hand. Gadadharam, with a club in the hand. Dharanaya Smaranti, conceiving in that way, one has to meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is a very beautiful form. Kechi Swadehant Hridayavakashe Pradesha Matram Purusham Vasantam Chaturbhujam Kanjaratanga Shanka Gadadharam Dharanaya Smaranti. So this is the super soul form, and in the 4-handed form. So translation for this verse. Others conceive of the personality of Godhead residing within the body in the region of the heart and measuring only 8 inches. With 4 hands carrying a lotus, a wheel of a chariot, a conch shell, and a club respectively. And purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The all-pervading personality of Godhead resides as Paramatma in the heart of each and every living entity. The measurement of the localized personality of Godhead is estimated to expand from the ring finger to the end of the thumb. So ring finger to the end of the thumb. So it is just kind of a 8 inches, and more or less 8 inches. The form of the Lord described in this verse with a distribution of different symbols, beginning from the lower right hand up and down to the lower left hand with a lotus, and wheel of a chariot, conch shell, and club respectively, is called Janardana. So, or the plenary portion of the Lord who controls the general mass. There are many other forms of Lord with varied situations of the symbols of lotus, conch shell, etc. And they are differently known as Purushottama, Achyuta, Narasimha, Trivikrama, Prishikesha, Keshava, Madhava, Aniruddha, Prajhumna, Sankarshana, Sridhara, Vasudeva, Damodhara, Janardhana, Narayana, Hari, Padmanabha, Vamana, Madhusudana, Govinda, Krishna, Vishnumurti, Adokshaja, and Upendra. These four forms of the localized personality of Godhead are worshipped in different parts of the planetary systems. And in each system, there is an incarnation of the Lord having a different Vaikuntha planet in the spiritual sky, which is called the Paravyoma. There are many other hundreds and scores of different forms of the Lord, and each and every one of them has a particular planet in the spiritual sky, of which this material sky is only a fragmental offshoot. The Lord exists as Purusha, the male enjoyer, although there is no comparing him to any male form in the material world. But all such forms are Advaita, non-different from one another, and each of them is eternally young. The young Lord with 4 hands is nicely decorated as described below. So this is the 4-handed form. Kechi Swadehant Hridayavakashe Pradesha Matram Purusham Vasantam Chaturbhujam Kanjaratanga Shanka Gadadharam Dharanaya Smaranti. So this one, so just mentioning all these names, so just would like to share very beautiful part of the chart. So I would like to. Okay. So this is a Goloka chart. So here in this one, we see there are so many Vaikuntha planets have been mentioned. So this is the Vaikuntha planets. Here, when we see observe all these names of whatever Prabhupada has given, mentioned in the purport. So in the center, there is a Lakshmi Narayana sitting on Ananta, and around that, there are Jnana Leela and Visvaksena and Vairagya, Kurma, Aishwarya, and Garuda and Bhu, Dharma. So there are Lord's energies. And further, if we see in the outer circle, there are further like Shri Aniruddha and Khan, and there are goddesses, and also Shri Vasudeva and Sankashana and Prajumna. This is the Chaturyuha in the first circle here outside of. And there are other Lord's energies Kanti, Rati, and Saraswati, Lakshmi Devi. They are the concepts of the Lord. And here, if we go further outer circles in the Vaikuntha planets, there are again Shri Padmanabha and Shri Dhamodara, Shri Krishna. So likewise, the names have been very clearly mentioned. All these names, they are four-handed form based on the symbols that they hold in their hands. They are called with different names, Achyuta, and further likewise in the Varaha Deva and Nrsimha Deva and Vamana Deva, they are all the four-handed Vishnu forms. So these are in the Vaikuntha planets. There are unlimited Vaikuntha planets. This is Paravyoma. And the sages, so who are meditating on the Lord within this universe, for example, this is one universe where the Paramatma who is residing in the everyone's heart. So he is the four-handed form. So if we see the okay, going to the pictures, so this is the Lord's four-handed form where he is having the wheel, a disc, and the gada, and the padma, and the shanka. These are, and his face is very beautiful form. This is the, there are so many things we would have come. This is the four-handed form. And this one, Krishna mentions in the Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Buddheshe Junatistati Brahmayan Sarvabhutanam Yantra Rodani Maya. That is, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. So that one, it is, let me just, and then here he says, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Buddheshe Junatistati Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantra Rodhani Maya. Likewise, Lord says, the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing wanderings of all the living entities who are seated as on a mission made of the material energy. Actually, this super soul, the four-handed Lord, he is controlling the body, not us. We are simply desiring and experiencing the pains and pleasures. And here, the Lord is saying to Arjuna that, Arjuna, you surrender, utterly surrender unto him. So here, this is the second level of realization. So, and Krishna says here, Iti jnanam akyatam guhyat guhyataramaya. This is Vimurshaisha etad asheshena. Yetechasi tadakuru. So I have explained to you this knowledge, still more confidential. So far, in the Bhagavad Gita, 40 until 13th chapter, 14th chapter, 16, 17, 8, and then beginning of the 18th chapter, the Lord has explained all the confidential knowledge as well. Of course, here Lord has explained knowledge of Brahman, that is confidential. Now here, Hridayastha Paramatma, Huddesha Junatistati. This is Guhyataram Maya. This is called the more confidential knowledge. This is the second level of realization. And third level in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that Sarva Guhyatamam Bhuyaha Shunumi Paramam Vachaha Ishtosi me Dhramiti Tato Vakshami Te Hitam. That is what Lord is saying. You worship directly me. That is the Bhagavaniti. That is the highest, the topmost realization. So this is Vadant Tattat Vistatvam Yajnanamadvayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdhyate. So there we see the Paramatma realization is the second level of the realization. This is all the yogis. This is what we are discussing here. So and here when we are going through this Srimad Bhagavatam, in the beginning when the Parikshit Maharaj, when he was in the womb of his mother Uttara, at that time Lord appeared as a Angusta Matram. It is just only tip of the thumb. That is Angusta Matram Amalam Spurat Purata Maulinam Api Vyadarshanam Shamam Taridvasasam Achyutam Srimad Dirga Chaturbaham Tatta Kanchana Kundalam Chajakcham Gadapanim. Likewise, his Paribhramantumulakabham Brahmayantam Gadamuhu, he was protecting Parikshit from the Brahmastra released by the Ashwadhama. That is only Angusta Matram. Here, localized Paramatma is the Pradesha Matram. This is Pradesha Matram. See, when we are going through the Srimad Bhagavatam, the realizations are step by step. Canto 1, Canto 2, we are understanding more and more, entering into the Lord's pastimes. So here, the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, residing within the body in the region of the heart and measuring only 8 inches. Now we are seeing 8 inches Lord. We see how the Lord's form is going to be later on in these following verses. And this 4-handed form, even Bhishma Deva also we have seen. Sadeva Deva Bhagavan Patikyatam. He wanted to see the 4-handed form of the Lord. So he requested Krishna. That is also just will bring Sadeva Deva Bhagavan Patikyatam Kalevaram Yavadidam Hinomyaham Prasannahasa Prasanna Asa Aruna Lochananam Mukambujot Jhanapatha Chaturbujaha. So likewise, Bhishma Dev, he was desiring that Lord to stand in front of the Bhishma Dev, Krishna in his 4-handed form. And later on, after Bhishma Dev, he has explained Yudhishthira with all the different kinds of dharma to the Yudhishthira and Pandavas. And then the Lord, he was seeing the Lord there. It is very beautiful form. And Krishna in his 4-handed Parasthiti Amilita Drug Vyadharayat. Krishna Lasat Pete Pate Chaturbhuje Purasite Amilita Druk Vyadharayat. Krishna was showing the 4-handed form to Bhishma Dev. So that is the 4-handed form we are now discussing. So let us see how the beauty of the Lord's form is been described here. We shall move on to the next verse. Prasanna Vaktram Narinayate Kshanam Kadamba Kinjalka Pisengavasasam Lasan Maharatna Hiranmayangadam Spuran Maharatna Kirita Kundalam Prasanna Vaktram Nalinayata Ikshanam. So Prasanna Vaktram, his face is always expressing the happiness, and Vaktram and his mouth Nalina Ayata, and spread like the petals of a lotus. Narinayata Ikshanam. What is that? Ikshanam. Narinayata Ikshanam. His eyes are so beautiful like a lotus petals. Prasanna Vaktram Narinayata Ikshanam. And Kadamba Kinjalka Pisangavasam. And how they look like? What the dress Pishangavasam, it is like a Kadamba Kinjalka. And Kadamba flowers, saffron. So that is like that. Pishangavasa, his garments are in the yellow color. And Lasan Maharatna, Hiranmayangadam. And there are valuable jewels are hanging. Lasan, they are hanging. Maharatna, Hiranmayangadam. And all are made up of the gold. Lasan Maharatna, Hiranmayangadam. They are all hanging jewels. Angadam, all the ornaments, whatever his Lord is wearing, all are made up of gold, pure gold, and with valuable jewels in it. Lasan Maharatna Hiranmayangadam, Spuran Maharatna Kirita Kundalam, and the Spuran Maharatna, and glowing valuable jewels. And when the Lord is wearing all his earrings and the crown very beautifully. They're always shining. Spuran Maharatna Kirita Kundalam. Kirita is the headdress or the crown. Kirita Kundalam earrings. Earrings always made with the makara. They are the greenish sapphire. Very beautifully. Whenever it glows, his face is always bright, and that light is falling on his face. Spuran Maharatna Kirita Kundalam. See how beautiful. Prasannavaktaram Nalayatekshanam Kadamba Kinjal Kapisenga Vasasam Lasan Maharatna Hiranmayangadam Spuran Maharatna Kirita Kundalam. So translation for this verse: his mouth expresses his happiness, his eyes spread like the petals of a lotus, and his garments yellowish like the saffron of a kadamba flower or bedecked with valuable jewels. His ornaments are all made of gold, set with jewels, and he wears a glowing headdress and earrings. Very beautifully. So this is what we see here in the picture. He has got very beautiful hanging earrings and a very kirita, the kirita, and his four hands, and a lesson the yellow garment. It is like a kadamba kinjalka flower. Kadamba kinjalka, so beautiful. Okay, let us see what is further is been described about the Lord. And this is especially when we see with our eyes, we see the picture of the Lord or the deity form of the Lord. But when we are hearing to the sound, Bhagavan Shabda Gocharaha, the sound penetrate into the heart. That will, after that, when we see the Lord, then we understand very easily. Without sound vibrations, if we see the Lord, we see simply a form of the Lord. But the sound vibrations, it would penetrate in the heart. So here, Prasanna Vaktaram Narinayatekshanam Kadamba Kinjalika Pisenga Vasam Lasan Maharatna Hiranmayangadam Spuran Maharatna Kirita Kundalam. So beautiful form. And further, here Sukadeva Goswami is saying, Unnidruhut Pankaja Karnikalaye Yogeshwara Stapita Pada Pallavam Shri Lakshanam Kaustabaratna Kandaram Amlana Lakshmiya Vanamala Yachitam. Unnidra Hutpankaja Karnikalaye, and Unnidra in the blooming heart. So this is Unnidra Hutpankaja Karnikalaye, and Pankaja is the lotus flower, Karnikalaye on the surface of the world, and Yogeshwara Stapita Pada Pallavam. Yogeshwara Stapita Pada Pallavam. So the heart of the Yogeshwaras, all these great sages, and whose heart has blossomed with so much of devotion, and with that heart is being mentioned with the survey, the lotus flowers, the wall, and there the Lord keeps his pada pallavam. He places his lotus feet. This is Yogeshwara Stap Unnidruhut Pankaja Karnikalaye Yogeshwara Stapita Pada Pallavam. And that is where Lord's lotus feet. It is the introduction of lotus feet of the Lord is so beautiful. And there is not for the materialistic people, does the Lord will keep his lotus feet? It's another question. So here his lotus feet always stand in the lotus of the heart of the Yogeshwaras. And Shri Lakshanam Kaustubha Ratna Kandharam. Shri Lakshanam Kaustubha Ratna Kandharam. Shri Lakshanam. What is Shri Lakshanam? It is the goddess of fortune or a beautiful calf. And Lakshanam is marked in that way. Srivatsa is the symbol. It is on the chest of the Lord. And Kaustubha Ratna Kandharam and Kaustubha jewel and other jewels. Kaustubha Ratna is the jewel. Very beautiful. It is only unique to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishnu forms and Krishna only. Kaustubha Ratna Kandharam on the shoulder. It is around his neck and shoulder. Amlana Lakshmiya Vanamala Yachitam. And it is quite fresh. And Lakshmi, very beautiful. Vanamalaya, a flower garland spread over on his body. See, oh, so beautiful. When we are hearing this beauty of the Lord, we are observing directly in the meditation. Unnidruhut Pankaja Karnikalaye Yogeshwara Stapita Pada Pallavam Shri Lakshanam Kaustubha Ratna Kandaram Amlana Lakshmiya Vanamala Yachitam. So Lord is always wearing the fresh Vanamala. Very beautiful one. Okay, so translation for this verse. His lotus feet are placed over the walls of the lotus hearts of the great mystics. On his chest is the Kaustubha jewel, engraved with a beautiful calf. And there are other jewels on his shoulders. His complete torso is garlanded with fresh flowers. And purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The ornaments, flowers, clothing, and all the other decorations on the transcendental body of the personality of Godhead are identical with the body of the Lord. The name of them are made of material ingredients. Otherwise, there would be no chance of their decorating the body of the Lord. As such, in the Paravyoma, spiritual varieties are also distinguished from the material variegatedness. This is made in the spiritual, all spiritual variegatedness. Here in this material, we cannot understand, that's why. So, which we can understand, those examples are being given here for our understanding. But these kind of things, they exist in the spiritual planets. Yatra Naishresham Nama Vanam Kama Dugaihi Drumaihi Sarvattu Sribihi Vibhrajat Kaivalyam Iva Murtiman. In the Vaikunta, there is a Naishresham Nama. Vanam Kama Dugaihi Drumaihi, all the wish fulfilling trees, these Kalparukshas, Kama Dugaihi Drumaihi, Sarvattu Sribihi Vibhrajat Kaivalyam Iva Murtiman. In all kinds of seasons, all these flowers and fruits, everything is blossomed in all seasons. There is no time that this season doesn't give any flowers and fruits. And on top of it, Kaivalyam Iva Murtimat, everything is the spirit in the spiritual form. Kaivalyam Iva Murtimat. This is especially mentioned in the Vaikunta. So that is where the variegatedness come into the picture, the spiritual variegatedness. That is beauty of the Vaikunta planet. So Prabhupada is mentioning here everything is in the same quality. So there is no difference between the Lord's body and all other his name, paraphernalia, and everything. Everything is transcendental and spiritual. Okay, so there in the Vaikunta planets and his golden airplanes, Vaimanikaha Salalana Charitani Sheshwan Gayanti Yatra Samalakshyapanani Bhattuhum Antarjali Anuvikasat Madhumadaveenam Gandena Kandita Diyopi Anilam Shipantaha. Everyone are having those very beautiful Vaimanikaha Salalana. They're beautiful airplanes made with lapis lazuli and all the gold, everything, and Salalana along with their concert. So they are going. So they are when they're going and glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, their pastimes. Antarjali Anuvikasat Madhumadaveenam Gandhi Diopyanilam Shipantaha. So, and even when they're smelling very beautiful aroma, but still they condemn that aroma because they wanted to glorify the Lord. Antarjali Anuvikasat Madhumadaveenam Gandhena Kandita Diyopi Anilam Shipantaha. So this is the beauty of the Vaikunta. This is through Vaikunta is being seen through the four Kumaras' eyes. Okay, so we'll come to that point later on in the future, but we shall continue here. All beautiful things. And here, let us see the next verse is the Sukadeva Goswami is saying, Vibhushitam Mekalayangulikaihi Mahadanaihi Nupura Kankanadibihi Snigdhamala Kunchita Nila Kuntalaihi Virojamana Arana Hasa Peshalam Vibhushitam, and all the Lord is well decorated, Mekalaya, and with an ornamental wreath about the waist. This is also it is called Mekalaya with an ornamental wreath about the waist. Angulikaihi by finger rings. Vibhushitam Mekalaya Angulikaihi. And how they are Mahadanaihi, and they are very, very highly valuable ones. Highly valuable ones. Mahadanaihi. Nupura Kankanadibihi. Nupuras are the ringlets. Ringing leglets. Nupuras. So they wear on the legs. Nupuras, and the Kankana Adibihi, and also the bangles. Kankana Adibihi, so many other things as well. Vibhushitam Mekalayangulegaihi Mahadanaihi Nupur Kankanadibihi. So beautiful. And what else? Snigdha Malakunchita Nela Kuntalaihi, and his hair is very thick and slick. His Snigdha Amalakunchita, very spotless. There are no gray hair or white hair like us in the material world. Everyone are all bodies always ugly. Whatever the face, they just only show offs. Everyone put dye this one and that one. But here, the Lord Snigdha Malakunchita Nela Kuntalaihi. Their bluish hair curling. Akunchita, their curling bluish hair, snigdha and very slick and spotless. See, oh, so beautiful. Snigdha malakunchita neelakuntalaihi. And what else? Virochamana arna hasapeshalam. Virochamana, very pleasing. And Arna, his face is always pleasing. And Hasa and his smile, Peshalam, very beautiful. That is Virochamana Arana Hasa Peshalam, very beautiful smile and very peaceful. This is the Lord's form. One has to see. Otherwise, there is no value for our human life. This is the asset. When we hear and see the Lord, this is our asset. And once Lord comes and sit in our heart, and He will remove Shrinuda Shraddhaya Nityam Gunasasta Swacheshitam Kalena Nati Dirghena Bhagavan Vishite Krudi. He will sit in the heart. Pravistaha Kannarendrena Swanam Bhava Saroruham Dhunoti Sambalam Krishnaha Salat Dhunoti Sambalam Krishnaha. So He will completely remove all kinds of Shamala, and then He will sit in our heart. So that is, and that's why Dhautatma Purusha Krishna Padamulam Namunchati Mukta Sarup Parikleshaha Pantaha Swasaranam Yata. So Dhautatma, that particular person, whoever keeps the Lord in the heart, he will never ever leave the lotus feet of the Lord. Dhautatma Purusha Krishna Padamulam Namunchati. He will never ever leave. Krishna Padamulam Namunchati. That is what everyone desiring. That is Pantaha Swasaranam Yada. Mukta Sarup Parikleshaha Pantaha Swasaranam Yada. He is rotating throughout the universes. So many bodies. And then, as soon as he comes to the lotus feet of the Lord, he is just like a Pantaha Swasaranam Yada, just like a home. That is the lotus feet of the Lord. So that is, okay, here the Lord is being decorated with so much of valuable jewels. Vibhushitam Mekalayangulegaihi Mahadanaihi Nupura Kankanadibihi Snigdamala Kunchita Nelakuntalaihi Virojamana Arna Hasapeshalam. So translation for this verse. So he is well decorated with an ornamental wreath about his waist and rings studded with valuable jewels on his fingers. His leglets, his bangles, his oiled hair, curling with a bluish tint, and his beautiful smiling face are all very pleasing. And purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the most beautiful person amongst all others. And Srila Sukadeva Goswami describes every part of his transcendental beauty, one after another, in order to reach the impersonalist that the personality of Godhead is not an imagination by the devotee for facility of worship, but it is the Supreme Person in fact and figure. The impersonal feature of the Absolute Truth is but his radiation, as the sun rays are but radiations from the sun. So that is just only impersonal is only the effulgence. And here, so the Lord is having very beautiful personality. It is not an imagination. People who are making like Lord has no form, they are making the mistakes and falling down. Ye anya aravindaksha vimukta maninaha tvayasta bhavad avishuddha buddhayaha aruhya kurchena param padam tataha padantyadaha anadruta ishmadangarayaha. They fall down, even though they think that they are completely free from all this material entanglement. Ye anya aravindaksha vimukta maninaha, they think that they are free from. But tvayasta bhavat avishuddha buddhayaha, but still towards you, tvaya astabhavad, and they don't have proper intelligence to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. With Avishuddha Buddhaya, improper intelligence, uncleansed intelligence, Avishuddha, it is not a cleansed intelligence. So, Aruhya Kruchena Padam, Padam Tadaha, Patantyadaha Anadr Ishmadangarayaha, even though they have done so much of austerities and penances and progressed in their spiritual life, still they fall down later on because they made a Anadrita Ishmadangarayaha, they made a mistake at the lotus feet of the Lord. So when Lord is having very beautiful form, one has to take that opportunity and meditate and worship him. And here the Sukadeva Goswami is giving the yogis how they reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the heart. But this is the one of the Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita. Lokesmin vividanishta pura prokta maya nagha jnana yogena sankyanam karma yogena yoginam. There are two kinds of people. One is they meditate on the sankhya, understanding the Lord, in another people through the devotional service. So this is one of the form yogis are trying to realize in the heart the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, let us see what further is Sukadeva Goswami saying about the Lord. Adina Leela Hasidekshanolasa Bhrubhanga Samsita Bhuri Anugraham Ikchet Chinta Mayamenamishwaram Yavanmanodharanaya Avatistate. Adina Leela Hasidekshanolasa Bhrubhanga Samsita Bhuri Anugraham. And Adina Leela, and his pastimes are very magnanimous. And Hasita Ikshana and he's smiling by glancing over and Ullasat, and they're glowing. And Bhrubanga Samsita Bhuri Anugraham. And when as soon as the Lord shows he turns his face and looks at any living entity, that is giving Bhuri Anugraham, unlimited, extensive benedictions. He will give such kind of benedictions to the conditioned soul. Whoever is coming, surrendering themselves to the Supreme Personality of Godhead with devotion, without any material expectations. Bhrubanga Samchita Bhuri Anugraham Samsuchita. That is the signals of the eyebrows. Bhrubanga Samsuchita Bhuri Anugraham. One will get so much of benedictions. That's why as soon as we go into the Mangala Harati, as soon as curtains are open, everyone is standing in front of the Lord. As soon as the Lord sees us, we are all very happy to receive the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead on all of us. That is the Bhuri Anugraham. The first time whoever is standing in the Mangalacharan, they are very, very fortunate. So we have to take that opportunity when we have got a human body. This human body is the it is the idam shariram parinamapeshalam parityavasyam slasandijajjaram kim aushadaihi klishite modadharmati niramayam krishna rasayanam piba. So this body is going to fall down on one day. What medicine can stop it? Klishite modadharmati, oh foolish person. Niramayam krishna rasayanam piba, always drink the nectar of Krishna. So likewise, one devotee, this is Kulashekara says very beautifully. So here, the Lord's Iksheta Chintamayamenam Ishwaram Iksheta. And as soon as one must concentrate on Chintamayam and this transcendental form, Enam, this particular Ishwaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yavan Mano Dharanaya Avatistate. One has to dharanaya, by meditation, avatistate, can be fixed. His mind should be fixed on that Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I'll be taking a couple of minutes more. So we have got so much of things to go. So likewise, Sukadeva Goswami is describing here. Adina Leela Sdekshanolasa Bhrubanga Samchita Bhuri Anugraham Ikyeta Chinta Mayamenameshwaram Yavan Manodharanaya Avatistate. So the Lord's magnanimous pastimes and the glowing glancing of his smiling face are all indications of his extensive benedictions. One must therefore concentrate on this transcendental form of the Lord as long as the mind can be fixed on him by meditation. This is the meditation. This is Mano achirasyat virajam swasa Mano achirasyat virajam jita swasasya yoginaha. All the time they have to meditate on this particular form. Vayugnibhyam yataloham dhmatam chalichi vaimalam, until they. So this is once again yogi, before concentrating on the Lord, he has to sit in a suchodesya pristapya vijitasanāsanam tasmin swasti samasena rujakayah samabhyaset, keeping his posture properly and sitting and in a clean place, not very high, not in hm, not very top, not very low, and then keeping it steady and keeping himself meditating. Pranasya sodayan margam pura kumbhaka rechikaihi pratikulena vachittam yatastiram achinchalam. That is called kumbhaka. Pranasya sodayen margam pura kumbhaka rechikaihi pratikulena vachittam yatastiram achinchalam. Just keeping fixing of the mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So just that is pranas, that is called the pranayama. So what happens during this pranayama process? Pranayama hi dahe doshan dharna bishak kilbishan. So whenever we are doing pranayama hi dahe doshan, the doshas would be removed. Dharna bishak kilbishan, and the sinful activities will be stopped. And what else is there? Pratyaharena samsarghan, and when he retracting his senses from all material entanglement, pratyaharena samsarghan, he will not be attached to this material world. Dhyanena anishwaran gunan, when he is meditating on the Lord, he would be transcending to the material modes of nature. That is the process of the yogic process. Later on, he will come to the parts of the Supreme Person to meditate on the very beautiful form of the Lord, whatever we have been describing here. So Kapil Bhagavan has given these instructions in the third canto, but I'm just bringing in a little glimpse of it. They are very beautifully how Lords from the concentrating each and every part of the Lord, from the lotus feet, legs, and then urus, or the thighs, and the navel, and then his chest, neck, and his face, and the bahus, and then his different kinds of weapons, face, eyebrows, and glands, and smiling, and the nose. This is so beautifully, and once he sees the Lord, then it is he will attain that perfection in his human life. Okay, let us see this. Okay, the translation for this verse. The Lord's magnanimous pastimes and glowing glancing of his smiling face are all indications of his extensive benedictions. One must therefore concentrate on this transcendental form of the Lord as long as the mind can be fixed on him by meditation. So here purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In the Bhagavad Gita 12.5, it is said that the impersonalist undergoes a series of difficult programs on account of his impersonal meditation. But the devotee, due to the Lord's personal service, progresses very easily. Impersonal meditation is therefore a source of suffering for the impersonalist. Here, the devotee has an advantage over the impersonalist philosopher. The impersonalist is doubtful about the personal feature of the Lord. This is what Anadruta Ishmadangaraya. And therefore, he always tries to meditate upon something which is not objective. This is Kleshadikarastesham Abhyasakta Chedasam. This is very dukkhamayam. This is all suffering. So for this reason, there is an authentic statement in the Bhagavatam regarding the positive concentration of the mind on the factual form of the Lord. And the process of meditation recommended herein, Bhakti Yoga. Herein is Bhakti Yoga, or the process of devotional service after one is liberated from the material conditions. Jnana Yoga is the process of liberation from material conditions after one is liberated from the conditions of material existence. That is, when one is nivritta, as previously stated herein, or when one is freed from all material necessities, one becomes qualified to discharge the process of Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga includes Jnana Yoga. In other words, the process of pure devotional service simultaneously serves the purpose of Jnana Yoga, because the liberation from material conditions is automatically achieved by the gradual development of pure devotional service. So this we also realizes in our day-to-day life. So these effects of Bhakti Yoga are called Anardha Nivritti. So this is mentioned, Savai Nivritti Dharmena Vasudevanukampaya Bhagavad Bhakti Yogena Tirudhate Seniriha. These are the two parts. One is the Pravritti Marga and Nivritti Marga. One is the Pravritti Marga is the enjoying and enjoying. There is no limit for it. Like all these material people are going towards the Pravritti Marga and falling into the hellish condition of life day by day. And Nivritti Marga is completely removing all the these anaddas. This is called Savai Nivritti. And these effects of Bhakti Yoga are called Anardha Nivritti. Things which are artificially acquired gradually disappear along with the progress of Bhakti Yoga. Meditation on the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, the first processional step, must show its effect by Anardha Nivritti. One has to meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord. What is the lotus feet of the Lord mentions? Bhagavatam, first canto and second canto. This is Krishna's lotus feet. So we have to meditate, read again and again, first canto and second canto again and again. That is meditation on the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead. That is the first processional step, must show its effect by Anardha Nivritti. And the grossest type of anardha which binds the conditional soul in material existence is sex desire. And this sex desire is gradually develops in the union of the male and female. When the male and female are united, the sex desire is further aggravated by the accumulation of buildings, children, friends, relatives, and wealth. When all these are acquired, the conditional soul becomes overwhelmed by such entanglements, and the false sense of egoism or the sense of myself and mine becomes prominent. And the sex desires expands to various political, social, altruistic, philanthropic, and many other unwanted engagements, resembling the foam of the sea waves, which becomes very prominent at one time and at the next moment vanishes as quickly as the cloud in the sky. The conditioned soul is encircled by such products as well as products of sex desire, and therefore Bhakti Yoga leads to gradual evaporation of the sex desire, which is summarized in three headings, namely profit, adoration, and distinction. All conditioned souls are mad after these different forms of sex desire, and one shall see for himself how much he has been freed from such material hankerings based primarily on the sex desire. As a person feels his his hunger satisfied after eating each morsel of foodstuff, he must similarly be able to see the degree to which he has been freed from sex desire. The sex desire is diminished along with its various forms by the process of Bhakti Yoga, because Bhakti Yoga automatically, by the grace of the Lord, effectively results in the knowledge and renunciation. Even if the devotee is not materially very well educated. So knowledge means knowing things as they are, and if by deliberation it is found that there are things which are all at all unnecessary. Naturally, the person who has acquired knowledge leaves aside such unwanted things. When the conditioned soul finds by culture of knowledge that material necessities are unwanted things, he becomes detached from such unwanted things. This stage of knowledge is called vairagya, or detachment from unwanted things. We have previously discussed that the transcendentalist is required to be self-sufficient and should not beg from the rich, blind persons to fulfill the bare necessities of life. Sukadeva Goswami has suggested some alternatives for the bare necessities of life, namely the problem of eating, sleeping, and shelter. But he has not suggested any alternate for sex satisfaction. One who has the sex desire still with him should not at all try to accept the renounced order of life. So for one who has not attained to this stage, there is no question of renounced order of life. So By the gradual process of devotional service under the guidance of a proper spiritual master and following the principles of the Bhagavatam, one must be able at least to control the gross sex desire before one accepts the renounced order of life factually. So, purification means getting free gradually from sex desire, and this is attained by meditation on the person of the Lord as described herein, beginning from the feet. So Prabhupada mentions that the sex desire is a disease, itching disease. So one should not try to go upwards artificially without seeing for himself how he has been released from the sex desire. The smiling face of the Lord is the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and there are many upstarts who at once try to begin with the 10th canto, and especially with the 5 chapters which delineate the Rasa Leela of the Lord. This is certainly improper. By such improper study of or hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, the material opportunists have played havoc by indulgence in sex life in the name of Bhagavatam. This vilification of Bhagavatam is rendered by the acts of the so-called devotees. One should be free from all kinds of sex desire before he tries to make a show of recital of Srimad Bhagavatam. Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura clearly defines the import of purification as cessation from sex indulgence. He says, Yata yatadihi cha suddhyati vishayalampatyam chajati tata tata dharayet iti chitta suddhi taratamyenaiva dhanya taratamyam uktam. And as one gets free from the intoxication of sex indulgence by purification of intelligence, one should step forward for the next meditation, or in other words, the progress of meditation on the different limbs of the transcendental body of the Lord should be enhanced in proportion to the progress of purification of the heart. The conclusion is that those who are still entrapped by the sex indulgence should never progress to meditate above the feet of the Lord. Therefore, recital of Srimad Bhagavatam by them should be restricted to the first and second cantos of the great literature. One must complete the purificatory process by assimilating the contents of the first 9 cantos. Then one should be admitted into the realm of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So I shall stop here. So this is very beautiful purport. There is so much of things. So we have got, even this hour is not sufficient to glorify the Lord. नान्तं विदाम्यहम् अमि मुनियोग्रजास्ते माया बलस्य पुरुषस्य कुतो वराये गायन् गुणान् दशतान् आदिदेवः शेषोदिनापि समोस्य नास्य पारम्. Even the Lord Ananta is glorifying, the Lord takes his form as Ananta and glorifying himself. Still he has not finished all his glory. So now we have got very few minutes only. So it is very difficult to cover everything. But Prabhupada has given very beautiful purport here. That is the one who has to meditate on that form. Adi nalela hastekshanolasad bhrubhanka samshita bhuryanugraham ikched chinta mahmenamishwaram yavan manodharanaya avatistate. That is the one has to fix his mind on that beautiful form of the Lord. That is very beautiful. So this is the beautiful form of the Lord, and also there are further forms of the Lord. So here Krishna is here, our most beautiful Krishna with 2-handed form, behind that 4-handed form of the Lord, and with 4 hands, the lotus flower, conch shell, everything is beautiful, very pleasing. That is the second form of the transcendentalist. That is the Paramatmiti. So I shall stop here. So I request dear devotees, if you have got any questions, kindly share. We shall do it in the very bullet forms. I shall stop sharing my screen. There is so many things. Maybe we shall cover later on. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, which energy is Vishwaksena? Because when you showed all the energies of the Lord, you showed one Vishwaksena. Which energy is that one? Who is Vishwaksena, Prabhuji?
Destruction.
Vishwaksena.
Vishwaksena Prajapatihi. So this shall
Because I have come across this name couple of times, like in Vishnu Sahasranam, in the second verse, and in Shangsek Ramayan also, Valmiki Ramayan, it goes, Yasya Juradavasadyaha Parisadyaha Parakshatam Vignam Nignanti Satatam Vishwaksenam Tamasraye. So I want to know who is Vishwaksena, please. Thank you.
Okay, so even this Vishwaksena form, whenever the great sages, when Varahadeva appeared, at that time also Maitreya Muni addresses the Lord as the Vishwaksena Prajapatihi. I don't know the description behind that name, Vishwaksena. Maybe I'll find that details, and I'll bring that one when in the later sessions, or I'll share in the personally, Mataji.
It's okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Prabhuji.
But
Vishwaksena is the chief commander-in-chief of the spiritual world.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I was thinking about it, but I was not sure. That's why I wanted to confirm. Is it that he is a commander-in-chief of the Lord?
Of the army of the world.
Okay.
He's actually the spiritual origin of Ganesh as well. That's why Vaishnavas, we do Vishwaksena Puja, not Ganesh Puja, because he is the original remover of all obstacles.
So is it Kartikeya, the brother of Ganesha, or is it Ganesha himself, who is the commander-in-chief of the army, of the demigods, I think?
That's demigods. I'm talking about the spiritual world.
Yes, but then Ganesha came in, and then that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, the Kartikeya's dominion remains in the within the heavenly planets, not the spiritual world.
Yes. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you, Amogha Prabhuji. Thank you very much. A nice class. Thank you for showing us all these nice pictures. Very good. And then I just picked the name because I was always wondering who is he. I was doubting that he was, but then we would not be glorifying him at the beginning. Yeah, even in the Vishnu Sahasranam, he's there. Thank you. Thank you,
yes,
Prabhuji.
and also here, one of the Varahadeva pastimes, Saitam Bhagavan Murvim Vishwaksena Prajapatihi Rasaya Lilaya Unitam Apsunyasya Yayovharihi. The Lord lifts this Mother Earth and then keeps on top of that surface, and then Lord leaves to the Vaikuntha planet. So there also mentioned Vishwaksena Prajapatihi by the Maitreya Rishi. So yes, thank you so much, Shailesh Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, so anything else, or we shall conclude the session? Okay, thank you so much, everyone. So for kindly giving your valuable association time. So this is moment of devotees association is not even comparable to the liberation. So with that one, and thank you so much for giving your association. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंतकोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for a nice class.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.